Story 1. Alright, let me take you back to one of the last memories I have from middle school. And trust me, it's not a happy one. My name's Ethan, and when I was about 13, I went on a trip that still haunts me. It was the summer before 8th grade, and I didn't exactly have a big friend group. I was kind of a weird kid, obsessed with soccer and collecting pens, of all things. My closest friends were Liam, Noah, and Caleb, and we were all a bit odd in our own ways. We'd spend hours biking around, trading comic books, or arguing about video games. Back then, I thought the four of us were unstoppable, like we'd be friends forever. Looking back though, I can see the cracks starting to form, especially between me and Caleb. But that's not the point, at least not yet. That summer, Liam invited us to his family's summer house on a small island off the Oregon coast. I didn't even know they had a place like that. Liam's family was super secretive about it. They were weird in general. His dad was this intense germaphobe who'd glare at you for sneezing, but I was too excited to care. A week-long trip with my best friends? Sign me up. The drive to the coast was rough. I had a cold, and my runny nose was driving Liam's dad up the wall. He kept shooting me these looks in the rearview mirror, and I just shrank into my seat. Noah and I were also bickering over something dumb, like who'd win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man. By the time we got to the ferry to cross to the island, I was ready for a break. The ferry ride was actually pretty cool, with the ocean stretching out forever and the island coming into view like something out of a dream. The house itself was small but charming, tucked away among pine trees. The moment I stepped inside though, I felt too off. It's hard to explain, but it was like the house didn't belong to the real world. The island had this surreal vibe. Everyone knew each other, and random people would wave at Liam like he was a local celebrity. It was welcoming, but also isolating, like we were cut off from everything else. We spent the first day biking around, exploring the rocky beaches and narrow trails. It was fun, but I couldn't shake this feeling of being watched, like the island itself was keeping an eye on us. The next day, things started to get weird. I couldn't find my favorite soccer cap, a navy blue one with the Portland Timbers logo. I was gutted. It was one of the only pieces of merch I owned. Liam said I probably left it on the beach, but I swore I'd brought it back to the house. I was so upset I ended up crying to Liam's dad, who just told me to suck it up and not ruin the trip. I tried to let it go, but it bugged me. Then, the following night, I woke up at 3 a.m., restless and unable to sleep. As I lay there, I heard something, a faint, almost inaudible whispering. I froze, straining to listen. It was coming from Caleb's bunk across the room, but I couldn't make out the words. Was he talking in his sleep, or was someone else there? My heart was racing, but I was too scared to move or say anything. I just lay there, feeling completely alone, like the darkness was pressing in on me. So, things were already feeling off on that island in Oregon, but what happened next turned my whole world upside down. I'm Ethan, and this is the part of the story that still gives me chills, even years later. After hearing that creepy whispering from Caleb's bunk, I tried to act like everything was normal. I didn't say anything to Liam, Noah, or Caleb. I mean, what was I supposed to say? Hey, who was whispering creepy stuff at 3 a.m.? Yeah, no. But the next day, I couldn't shake this uneasy feeling, like I was being watched. We were playing some dumb game in the yard when Caleb said he needed to use the bathroom. He was gone for a while, which wasn't unusual. He was always slow. I glanced back at the house and froze. In one of the upstairs windows, I saw Caleb staring down at us, his face blank, almost lifeless. My stomach dropped. The thing is, Liam's house didn't have a bathroom upstairs. I checked with Liam and Noah, but they hadn't noticed anything. When I looked again, Caleb was gone. That night, Liam's dad was supposed to take us out for dinner, but I couldn't handle it. I faked being sick and stayed behind, saying I needed to nap. Alone in the house, I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying the whispering and Caleb's face in that window. Something felt wrong, really wrong. I don't know what possessed me, but I got up and started snooping around Caleb's bunk. My heart stopped when I found my Portland Timbers cap stuffed in his duffel bag. I dug deeper and found more of my stuff. A nail clipper, an extra toothbrush, and, worst of all, a pair of my underwear. I felt sick, betrayed, like I didn't even know this guy I'd called my friend. Then I saw his notebook. I wish I'd never opened it. The pages were filled with pencil drawings, some so aggressive they tore through the paper. There were monsters, twisted creatures, and scenes of violence. People being stabbed, crushed, tortured. It was beyond disturbing, like something out of a nightmare. Then I found drawings of me. One image burned into my brain. Me on a cross, my legs missing, my face twisted in pain. The last few pages were just my name, scribbled over and over like an obsession. The final page had my name in huge letters and 4 words. "I'll do it tomorrow." I was shaking, barely holding it together. When the others got back, I pulled Liam's dad aside and told him everything, my voice low so Caleb wouldn't hear. He didn't believe me until I showed him the notebook. His face went pale. He knew it was bad. He told me to put everything back exactly as I found it. I didn't want to, but he was the adult. As I slid the notebook back, I made a split-second decision and tore out one of the pages. Liam's dad rushed everyone to pack, saying there was a family emergency. I could feel Caleb's eyes on me as we left, like he knew I'd found out. We took the first ferry off the island and drove home without stopping. After dropping Caleb off, Liam's dad told me not to tell my parents, but I couldn't keep it in. I broke down to my mom and dad, showed them the page I'd kept. They called the police, who found the notebook and my stuff, except for one pen. Caleb's family moved away, and I never saw him again. But last week, I got an anonymous letter with that missing pen and the words, "I remember everything. I'm honestly terrified he's watching me again." Story 2. Hey, it's Mason, and I want to tell you about a family trip that started out fun but turned into something I'll never forget. My family's not your typical crew. Everyone's either obsessed with guns, hunting, or both. Instead of summer vacations, we rent a big house somewhere, random, usually in the middle of nowhere, during winter. This time, it was a massive cabin in the mountains of Colorado. More like a mansion than a cabin, to fit all of us. Cousins, aunts, uncles, you name it. I was 18, fresh out of high school, and super excited because it was my first time joining the adults for their weirdest tradition. A huge laser tag game in the woods. Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a big deal in my family. The winner gets a decent cash prize and major bragging rights, and we use this high-tech laser tag gear my Uncle Ryan built himself. He's the most intense about it, like he lives for this game. The rules are simple. Every man for himself. Last person tagged wins. If multiple people are left by midnight, they split the prize. Once you're tagged, you head to the fire pit by the cabin. The second to last person signals the winner by firing a shot into the air. I'd watched this game from the sidelines for years, so I was pumped to finally play. Not even for the money, just for the thrill. That night, as we geared up in the snowy yard, Ryan went over the rules and showed us how to wear the markers so the game would be fair. He told us to set a 10-minute timer on our phones to start the game then. Bam! He sprinted into the woods like he was in a race. Everyone else scattered, disappearing into the dark. I noticed most of my relatives ran uphill, so I figured going downhill might give me an edge. The snow made everything visible, even in the dark, but it also felt eerie, like the forest was too quiet. There were at least 10 of us playing. Cousins, my parents, and a few others. I trekked deep into the woods and found a small perch, with a good view up the hill. I crouched there, catching my breath, trying to plan my next move. The cold was biting, and the silence was heavy, broken only by the occasional crunch of snow far off. I figured I'd wait a bit, then move along the slope to flank anyone still up there. After about 15 minutes of creeping through the trees, I started to feel uneasy, like someone was watching me. I couldn't place it, but the hairs on my neck stood up. Then I heard it. A faint crunching sound over my left shoulder coming from deeper in the woods, away from the cabin. I dove behind a tree, heart pounding, praying whoever it was hadn't seen me. I peeked out, squinting into the dark, and spotted a barely noticeable trail of footprints leading to a thick tree about 15 yards away. Someone was there. I was sure of it. But why hadn't they tagged me? I'd been out in the open, totally unaware. It didn't feel like part of the game anymore. My gut told me something was wrong, like I was being hunted, not just played with. I stayed frozen, feeling completely alone in that vast, snowy forest, wondering if I was imagining things or if someone or something was really out there, watching my every move. The laser tag game was supposed to be the highlight of our Colorado trip. I was pumped, dodging between snow-covered pines, my laser gun humming in my hands. The forest was quiet, except for the crunch of our boots and the occasional shout from Logan or Uncle Ryan. But then I saw those footprints again. Too big, too deep, not ours. They veered off into the trees, and my stomach twisted. I told myself it was nothing, maybe a hiker, but the feeling of being watched clung to me like the cold. I kept moving, scanning the shadows, my breath fogging in the air. That's when it happened. The feeling got closer, and I saw movement in the distance. 3 figures, dark against the white snow weaving through the trees. They weren't part of our game. One of them held something that glinted, a knife, not a laser gun. Panic hit me like a wave. I bolted, my boots slipping in the snow, branches snapping against my face. I didn't know where I was going, just away from them. The forest felt endless, every tree hiding a threat. My lungs burned, and my legs screamed, but I kept running, their footsteps crunching behind me. I could hear their breathing now, heavy and deliberate, like they knew I couldn't get far. I was just a kid in a dumb game, and they were hunting me. I tripped, slamming into the snow, and for a second I thought it was over. Then a loud crack split the air. A real gunshot. Uncle Ryan's voice roared, "Mason, get down!" I flattened myself, heart hammering, as another shot rang out. The footsteps stopped. I looked up, and there was Uncle Ryan, his hunting rifle steady, his face hard. The figures were gone, melted back into the trees. He grabbed my arm, yanked me up, and we ran to the cabin, not looking back. Inside, the family was a mess. Mom crying, Logan pale as the snow outside. Uncle Ryan locked every door, checked every window, and his rifle never left his side. We didn't sleep that night. The next morning we found it. A snowman in the clearing, crude and lopsided, holding one of our missing laser guns. Its coal eyes seemed to stare right at us. No one said it, but we all felt it. Those strangers were still out there, watching. We packed up and left that day, the cabin's warmth replaced by a chill that followed us home. The police came later, but they found nothing, just our word and that creepy snowman. I don't know who those people were or why they were after us. Maybe they were locals, pissed about outsiders. Maybe something worse. All I know is I can't shake the feeling that they're still out there waiting. That forest, so beautiful in the daylight, turned into a trap, and I was helpless in it. We never went back to Colorado, and I don't think we ever will. Story 3. Hey everyone, it's me. Just here to share a story that still gives me chills when I think about it. This is about my spring break a couple of years back, when I was a college sophomore. My name's Dylan, and I was pumped to get away with my girlfriend, Emma, and our friends Sophia and Tyler. We were all itching for a break from exams and dorm life, so we decided to rent this cheap Airbnb in Lake Chelan, Washington. It sounded perfect. A cozy house tucked away in the woods, right by the lake, with a hot tub and all the vibes for a relaxing getaway. I mean, who doesn't love the idea of sipping wine, playing board games, and just chilling with your favorite people? So, we packed our bags, loaded up the car with snacks and a playlist of throwback hits, and drove out to this remote spot. The drive was gorgeous. Tall pines, winding roads, and that crisp Washington air that makes you feel alive. When we finally pulled up to the house, it was even better than the pictures. It was this rustic, two-story cabin with big windows, surrounded by dense forest. The lake was just a short walk away, shimmering under the spring sun. There was only one other house nearby, maybe a quarter-mile down the road, but it looked empty, so we felt like we had the whole place to ourselves. It was isolated, sure, but that was the charm. No neighbors, no noise, just us and the wilderness. We unpacked, cracked open some beers, and started exploring the place. The living room had this huge stone fireplace, and the hot tub out back was calling our name. Emma was already planning a starry night soak, and Sophia was obsessed with the vintage record player in the corner. Tyler, being the chef of the group, claimed the kitchen to whip up some tacos for dinner. Everything felt so easy, so carefree, like we'd stepped into a postcard. That first night, we stayed up late, laughing over Cards Against Humanity and passing around a bottle of red wine. The house felt warm, alive with our voices. But looking back, there was this tiny, nagging feeling I couldn't shake. It's hard to explain, but it was like the forest outside was watching us. The windows were so big, and at night, they turned into these black mirrors, reflecting our every move. I'd catch myself glancing out, expecting to see something, or someone, staring back. I brushed it off though. Too much wine, right? The next day was perfect. We hiked to the lake, skipped rocks, and took a million photos. By evening, we were back in the hot tub, music blasting, steam rising into the cool air. It was the kind of moment you want to bottle up forever. But then, out of nowhere, everything changed. It was probably around 10 p.m. when this blinding light cut through the darkness. It wasn't like a car headlight or anything normal. It was sharp, almost clinical, like a spotlight sweeping across the backyard. We all froze, squinting into the trees, but it was gone as fast as it came. "What the hell was that?" Tyler asked, his voice low. Emma laughed it off, saying it was probably just a hunter or a drone. But then we heard it, a faint clicking sound, like someone snapping twigs, followed by a low whistle that seemed to echo through the forest. It wasn't an animal. It was too deliberate, too close. My stomach dropped, and I could see the same unease on everyone's faces. We climbed out of the hot tub, suddenly aware of how exposed we were, how alone. Hours later, heavy banging rattled the front door. Before anyone could react, a rock crashed through the living room window, a note tied to it. "Go away, you shouldn't be here." Panic erupted. Dylan grabbed a kitchen knife, his heart pounding, while Sophia called the police. Tyler and Emma barricaded the windows with furniture, but the group could still hear footsteps circling the house. When the police arrived, they found no one outside, but the neighbor's cabin was dark and empty, despite Dylan swearing he'd seen lights there the previous night. The group packed their bags and left in the middle of the night, driving to a hotel in town. The Airbnb host refunded their stay without a word, refusing to answer Dylan's questions about the house. Months later, Dylan stumbled across a forum post about a similar incident at a Lake Chelan rental, hinting at a local secret no one would discuss. Swearing off Airbnbs, Dylan still checks the locks twice every night, haunted by the feeling that someone or something wanted them gone.